Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Over the past few meetings, I've been somewhat frustrated with my speaking, particularly on this platform. And at the end of each meeting, I'll usually go for a walk to clear my head and think about what I've done right or what I could improve for my next speaking opportunity. And when I usually return home, I'll be confronted by the sign, "Keep the faith." And I'll be thinking, and by that time, I would have massaged my ego and I'll think, you know what? I'll jump on Easy Speak and look for a speaking opportunity and book a role. Well, here I am again today. My journey with the sign started around 5 years ago. I was doing some building work, some refurbishments at one of my cafe spaces in Dalston Lane with my trusted builder friend, Norbert, and his dog, Munch, who was a fabulous painter decorator. I was being the artist, the art director, and I had some interesting ideas. But the business needed a facelift because we had some stiff competition. By the end of the week, we were celebrating our work. And there was lots of rubbish around, and there was a sheet of plywood. So I wrote the sign, "Keep the faith." I possibly had a few drinks and I was feeling quite merry. So I put the sign outside with the rest of the rubbish. Here's the photo of the sign outside the space. This was around April 2015. The next day when I arrived, the rubbish had gone. And the sign was still there. So I thought, oh, okay. I felt rather a bit uncomfortable. I didn't want anybody thinking that the cafe had closed and maybe when Collier's opened the church. So I decided to place the sign across the road next to the commercial bins, hoping that the council will come and collect it. But they never did. A week later, the sign was still there. And almost honestly, a month later, the sign. So I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to read the sign. I'm going to take control of it. So I picked up the sign quite reluctantly and I hid it in my second premises across the road, which was a restaurant bar. And the place was called The Passage. It actually had no names, but it was stuck between a cluster of quite a few African churches. And I thought, you know what? I could use the sign, but to be honest, this is a really cool space. And I've got really cool celebrity clients like Skepta, Frank Ocean, Robert Pattinson coming through the door. And I didn't want to upset the flow. But the space was going through some difficult issues concerning regeneration. The landlords at that time wanted to demolish the property and build some flats. Or actually, they changed their mind. They actually wanted to build a hotel. But the council also wanted a piece of the action. And they kept sending me closure orders every couple of weeks. And I thought, you know what? Maybe my time has seen itself to a logical conclusion. But I kept the faith. And possibly a few months in, I decided to move the sign from the kitchen. And I placed a sign at the front of the shop. There's a photo of the sign at the front of the shop around 2015. And everyone used to walk past and think that, what the hell's going on in there? Keep the faith. I thought this is a nightclub. But I used to just smile and just, welcome everybody. And even though I was going through quite a lot at that period, regards to maintaining my business affairs, the sign was, a source of great motivation and inspiration. And it was kind of like my buddy, and so I owned it. But towards the end, when the space closed, I was really frustrated and quite traumatized by my experiences. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to take the sign with me. I'm going to take it across to my gallery space which had been closed for a little period of time. And I'll talk about my experiences with regeneration. And I also carried out some research and looked at other issues other business owners were facing in the area surrounding regeneration. I felt maybe this sign will actually motivate others to actually keep calm and carry on, similar to current situations surrounding the virus. I'm sure when Captain Thomas Moore, started his journey a few weeks back, he didn't think that, the level of press and support that he's got would have been utterly possible. And in the words of Victor Meldrew, he probably would have said to you, I don't believe it. But, I want to wish him happy birthday. And he's an example of keeping the faith. And I felt, the sign at the gallery space was also a mantra that other people can also draw a lot of support from. So I did a couple of exhibitions with the title of Parity. One in particular was quite interesting because I managed to hide a bed in the back of the gallery space. And here's a photo of the sign at the invisible line. And it would be quite interesting because people will walk in and they'll see the installation and they'll have a look at the sculptures, and some will like the art, some might think, oh, this is a bit interesting or whatever. It's art, it's totally subjective. And they'll get to the back of the space and they'll see a bed and also see the sign, Keep the Faith. So a lot of people will actually think, oh, do you know what? Have I walked into the right place or the wrong place? But I just used to smile, and it kind of used to be quite a playful subject for me to speak about. But the reason why I've spoken about my sign and my journey is because over the past few weeks, like I said, I've been having some difficult issues, connecting with Zoom. And I just wanted to
You're at time, Collier.
Express that to you guys and stick with the mantra and smile and keep the faith. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that inspiring speech,